So if I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. If you want to become an absolute superhuman freak of nature mouse and keyboard player, you have to know what equipment is important and the best for you. Today, we're going to talk about what I think the top 3 best mouse pads are for Apex Legends going into the year 2023 that you guys need to check out if you haven't already. All right, let's get into it. And my first pad on this list might be a little controversial, and I'll explain why. The Glass Mousepad King, the SkyPad 3.0. I will preface this by saying this is my least favorite pad on this list by far. Personally, I only use this pad to aim train because it is nothing but pure speed and mouse control. First and foremost, as you can tell, it's a piece of glass. Like, I can literally pick it up. It's hard. It's a hard surface. It's a piece of glass. That means it's the fastest mouse pad on the market. There's absolutely zero friction whatsoever. No dynamic or static friction. If you guys don't know what those terms mean, it pretty much means how easy it is to get the mouse moving from a complete stop, or how easy it is to continue moving the mouse around the surface. Like on other mouse pads, you can stop your movements by just simply pushing down slightly and putting pressure into the mouse pad to kind of dig in and give you a good firm stop. I'm a little bit of a heavy-handed player personally, so I have a really hard time when I use the SkyPad not digging into the mouse pad. Now, granted, people do say that if you look really, really close to the 3.0, there is a slight texture, and I believe there is. Obviously, it's for the sensor to make sure that every mouse sensor can be picked up perfectly fine on the SkyPad, and it absolutely can. But on top of that, it's also to give you a little bit of friction on the mouse gates from the pad. But again, even with that slight texture that may be there, it's really not much that you're gonna feel. So if you feel really comfortable with your mouse control, or you want to get better at your mouse control, I gotta say the SkyPad 3.0 is the pad for you. The dimensions of the SkyPad 3.0, this is the XL by the way, are 40 by 50 centimeters. A thing that's about the SkyPad 3.0 is that it is a bit expensive. I believe it's racking it at $100 even, or $99. Spending $100 on a mouse pad, it might be a little crazy, but this pad will never wear out on you. It's not a piece of cloth like normally. It's gonna last you literally forever unless you break it, which I will say it is very durable. I've dropped mine on the ground. There's a bunch of people who have a bunch of SkyPad drop tests on YouTube where they're just throwing their SkyPad around. Even if you slam your hand on your desk when you're raging because you're getting sear queued and charge rifled and crabered and sear queued and sear queued. My bad, I had a moment. Coming in next on the list, number 2 is the X-Ray Pad Aqua Control Zero. This is actually my first purchase of the year when it comes to mouse pads. I was super excited to get it in, and it did not disappoint. This is by far, without a doubt, the best build quality X-Ray Pad has ever produced. The stitch edges, if you can see here, they're very, very low. The base is very, very different from the original base, but this one doesn't really move on my desk much at all. One little bit of a gripe is that it didn't lay flat completely out of the box. It was very tightly wound inside the box when I unboxed it, but it's kind of over some time and over some use, it's laid flat for me now completely, and it works like a charm. But something that I think is different from this pad than a lot of other control pads is that it has textured surface, not really a coating. It's not a coating, but it's a textured surface control pad. So that means when I'm using a mouse on it, it doesn't feel as muddy as like a pure cloth pad. It definitely does have the stopping power, and it does take a little more effort for the dynamic friction and the static friction, even moving in the beginning. You could just stop on a dime. But control pads are my favorite. It definitely, I feel like I have the most control in my aim, especially in tracking situations, and this pad kind of gives me that freedom of the texture, giving me a little more speed initially, but still have that good control. I really enjoy this pad. The one you see here, I have a 500 by 500, which is also my favorite mouse pad size. You can get 3 different sizes. You can get a desk pad size, the XXL, which is 900 by 400 millimeters, but if you go with the 500 by 500 millimeters, that one will run you $34.99 or $35, but this is definitely one of my best and favorite surfaces. And I want to give an honorable mention as well, the Aqua Control Plus Wave Edition. So if you want something a little bit faster, the Aqua Control Plus does have a little bit more of a hybrid feeling surface on the top. It's a little bit faster, but this is definitely just as thick, and the build quality is absolutely incredible. So if you want something that's similar to what I was just talking about, the Aqua Control Zero, but a little bit more speed, definitely check out the Aqua Control Plus Wave Edition, and it looks pretty cool. And last but definitely not least, coming in at number 1 is actually kind of a switch up. I got you. It's 2 pads. I'm talking about the Lethal Gaming Gear Pro series of mouse pads. These 2 pads right here are without a doubt, going into 2023, my favorite pads of all time. These 2 pads are built so well that Lethal Gaming Gear and Artisan had to part ways on their website because Artisan felt threatened by how well these pads were built. Two big selling points of these pads are the stitched edges, which these are the first time I've ever seen edges stitched exactly like Artisan, just below the surface completely. It almost feels like there's no edge at all, and it has that Artisan style base that is completely sticky to your desk. You literally have to peel the pad up off your desk. So the one on top here with the circle, this is the Lethal Gaming Gear Venus Pro. My last mousepad video that I made was about the original Venus and how it was my favorite pad I'd ever used, and the Venus Pro only steps that up. This is definitely, besides the Sky Pad, but when it comes to a cloth pad, this is the fastest cloth pad on this list, but it isn't so fast that it feels unbearable. It definitely has that good stopping power that we want to see from the Venus. It is a extra soft type base, so if you've ever used a Artisan pad, you know they have mid, soft, and extra soft. So that means that you have the stopping power, you have the rigidity of being able to dig your pad in a little bit, but you do have the less dynamic and static friction to be able to move around a little bit faster. In my opinion, across the board, if anyone was like, no matter what's going on, no matter the price, no matter the situation, what is the best mousepad for Apex Legends? 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna say the Lethal Gaming Gear Venus Pro. Out of the two though, my personal favorite is this one, the Lethal Gaming Gear Saturn. When it comes to the Saturn, the reason I like it so much is I'm in a bit of a control pad phase right now. I really like control pads. I feel like it's really dialed my aim in. I feel like I can be a little more dialed, a little more control, especially in those like high intense situations where my aim might get a little shaky. It's obviously very much so leaning on a traditional cloth pad. It looks, you know, it feels, the weave is polyester and it feels like traditional cloth pad. There's no coating, there's no texture, but the way that they created this pad, it just feels really good. It's extremely soft to the skin. It feels extremely nice to touch. It definitely lends itself well to somebody who uses a light mouse and maybe a little bit of a low sense. And for this size, the 490 by 410, it is $49.99. One thing I am noticing on both of them, I do use them both a lot. If you look here very closely, I do have some wear. Again, I always wear my arm sleeves, so it's never directly just skin to pad contact. That's starting to get a little frays on the edge, especially on the Saturn because I use it the most. So it is still a pad. It's still a cloth pad. It will still wear down the way that any other pad would. This is an absolutely incredible pad, and I think it's the best deal in the world for something. And if you don't want to spend $50 and you only want to spend $25, $30, you can still get a very similar experience with the original Saturn and Venus. Now, is it the best build quality? No. Do they have the low stitch edge and the sticky base? No. But the surfaces are comparable and you can still get that experience. Sometimes they go on sale for like 15 bucks. But if you have the extra 20, 30 bucks to spend, definitely I encourage you over and over again to check out these pads. If you enjoyed this kind of content from me, please let me know. If you want more of this kind of content from me, please let me know down in the comments below. I love talking about this stuff. I love implementing this kind of stuff, and I love answering questions about this. So if you have any more questions about mouse pads or mice or keyboards or monitors or anything like that you want to see from me, please let me know down in the comments below. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.